Zenless Zone Zero. I fucking love this game. It is by far one of my top 5 this year. I have become a bit of a Hoyo fanboy, although Genshin is still shit. Star Rail and Zenless are both fan-fucking-tastic, and I've really enjoyed this new patch, but like the bikers and things. So I think it's about time I put down the tier list. Now, the way I do things, I care more about characterization, and how much fun the character is to play than I care about stats. So you could be the most incredible broken character in the series. Like, owning this character means you can essentially turn your brain off, go asleep, and fucking the game can play an autoplay, and you will win, right? And I won't roll it if I think the character is shit or boring. I won't roll it. So for me, characterization is a big thing. And one of the things that Zenless does is they've got these trust quests, which are like very soft, light versions of Persona social links, I think it's called. I can't remember now. Persona social links, right? Where you get to know the character a little bit better. And a lot of the character's real characterization, especially if they don't show it much in the story, is really showcased there. And some characters that are really loved in the community, it's obvious Hoyo pays attention to this, because those characters get special treatment when it comes to those kind of trust quests. So I've not done the trust quest for all the characters because I don't have all the characters, so that will impact it. But I'll give you a piece of what I think throughout, right? So the basic ranks are going to be perfection, like one of my favorite video game characters in the entire game, maybe even in gaming in general. I absolutely love them. I can't imagine playing the game without them. They might even be one of the main reasons I even play the game in the first place. Love the character. The character is really up there. I love the character. Might not be the best unit, but the character is great. Great unit. So this is either a character that is really, really fun to play, or really good. Like the kind of unit that is just going to make the game easier for you, right? Really, really good unit. So they're like the major tiers. These are all great characters, right? For several reasons. Then we get to the neutral rankings. Like, they're okay. They're alright. They might not be the best unit. They might not be the best character. But I quite like them. They're alright. And then we got neutral. Whereas, I don't really have any strong feelings one way or the other. I don't dislike them. I don't really like them. They're just kind of there. They're alright. And we have characters that I think are boring. I don't like them. They're just kind of you know. They're more than just neutral. Like, I think their presence makes the game worse. They don't really add anything, right? And then finally, we got characters that I actively hate. It's like, I don't like doing shit with them. They annoy the shit out of me. They're a boring ass or awkward ass character to play. They might be a good unit. They might be amazing or necessary in certain comms, but I just don't fucking like them, right? So I will say right up, there aren't going to be many characters down here. I think Zenless has done an amazing job with their characters so far, right? So let's start with the protagonists. I think Wise is pretty good, but there are much stronger characters than Wise, so I'm going to put him here. I think Wise is alright. I think Wise gets a bit of a tough rep. A lot of people shit over him. They say he looks boring. I actually chose him initially because I really like the way he looks. I love his jawline. I love his eyes. I think his eyes are so striking and piercing, but I am an eyes guy in general. I see, I get a lot out of eyes, if that makes sense. So that's me just being me. But I like Wise. I think he can be I like his soft sarcasm. I like his gentle warmth. I like him. Actually, for many of the same reasons I like Dan Heng in Honkai Star Rail, because he's kind of like an understated but good-natured character. And I quite like that. He's quite stoic, but also quite goofy at the same time. Really good character. I like Wise quite a bit. Belle, yeah, I don't like the way she looks as much as Wise. And I know that is a massive hot take. A lot of people much prefer the female character, but I think that's what the typical players of games like this like in general. Just her being a woman is inherently more interesting to them. But I think her face is a little bit cutesy. She looks more like a doll than anything. I just think she looks like a basic ass anime girl. There's nothing really that sticks out about her. And I also don't think her character or personality sticks out all that much as well. She's a little bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but I'll say short. She's a little bit more short than wise in terms of her temperament. She's more likely to choose someone out, right? She's not a bad person. I don't think she's as endearing as wise, pretty much, right? We've got Soldier 76. I'm gonna put her here. She's alright. She's pretty fun to play as, although I prefer Anby. Very generic character in terms of like the characterization. Very generic characterization. About the only thing really interesting about them is Inky. She's involved in the cat quests where you can get like a pet cat. I'm still doing that. It's taken a while. She's involved in that, which is kind of cute. But she's like, picture a generic soldier character. That's who she is. Her combat style is decent, but you know she's pretty good. She's a like somewhat fun unit, especially early on. She was quite fun, but yeah, she's not a character I own, so I can't tell you more about her via the trust quests. But she's just kind of, she's the most uninspired character in the game. She's like the basic ass one, you know. If this game was, if this game didn't have, like, Wise or Belle, I think she'd probably be the protagonist. Because she's, like, basic-ass, you know, protagonist. I think that's what it is. There's nothing inherently wrong with her. She's just the most generic character in the game. I don't dislike her. And I like her a little bit more than neutral. She's alright. Sukaku. I'm pretty neutral on her, actually, which is a surprise because I got Lycan really early on, and the vast majority of this game has been me using Lycan, Sukaku, and Ellen, like, consistently for everything. So you'd think I'd like Sukaku a lot more than I do. The problem with her is she's not really shown up in the story yet. She's had like one moment, and the only real thing that stands out about her is she likes food. Now, she's obviously designed off Oni from like Japanese myth, so that's interesting. I don't know too much about Oni, but I do know a lot of her basic design really falls into that. Not just the way she looks, but the masks she wears and the weapons she uses are very Oni inspired. But I'm going to have to wait. I think I know a little bit about her characterization right now, where she's just kind of like, she's very happy-go-lucky, kind of like a shonen character, really. I don't think she'll ever move down there, but I do think she'll continue to go down. I think the most interesting about her so far is her design. She's got a really kind of cool design that's like a cute Oni kind of character. I don't typically play as her that much. She is in my main group, but I only ever really see her during assists. She's okay, but I don't really have any strong feelings towards her. Like, for a character I've used consistently all the fucking time since I've been playing the game, pretty much, I should really like this character a lot more. But I don't, which to me knocks off quite a lot of points, because if I'm using the character all the time, surely they would have grown on me a lot more. That's what happened with Kafka in Star Rail. Kafka grew on me once I used her a lot, right? But with Sukaku, it just hasn't happened. So I think that neutral makes sense. I don't know about her. I think she's pretty cool so far. Again, pretty generic character, but the fact that she's a fox girl makes her a little bit inherently more interesting. Plus, the whole mystical samurai thing is a little bit more interesting than a basic-ass soldier. But we've seen her, like, twice in the game so far, and she's only had really one major moment. She is coming in the next big patch, I think. I imagine we'll see Sukaku as well because, you know, part of the same unit. So we are going to see her eventually. But yes, we're at the point right now where I don't really have much to go on. But she is pretty cool. She certainly made more of an impression than the soldier. Boring. This, for an S tier unit, apparently she's going to be a really good unit, especially for someone that likes anomaly usage. Apparently she's going to be really, really good. She looks like an NPC. She looks more like an NPC than Wise does. She looks like one of the NPCs that I get missions from. She doesn't look like a main character. She looks really boring. Her personality has done nothing so far. Her design does nothing so far. Like, I have more, I've seen her more than I've seen these two. And I have more to go on with these two than her. I'm not remotely interested, right? If I am interested, it's purely in terms of a unit, because she's an anomaly unit, right? And well, yeah, we'll get to that. Lycan! This is the reason I even played the game in the fucking first place. He is a suave, fucking, brilliant-mannered wolfman that has, like, he's the perfect design of a wolfman, because he's like the original Wolfman movie, right? He is a gentleman, but he has a wild beast inside him that you can see he holds back. He likes being refined. He is a refined gentleman kind of character, but there is a bestial nature inside him, and I love it. You only ever see it when you get close to him. You get glimpses of it. It's great. I love his voice acting. He's been my main character since, like, the beginning of the game. I've got an E2 on him as well. He was my first S tier, and then the first time I lost to 50-50, I got another one of them, which I was okay with. I love him. I think he's so fucking cool. I think he's really fun to play. That last kick in his combo, really heavily impactful. He was the first trust quest I did that I thought was really funny. Like, you can tell Hoyo pays attention because there's quite a few of the firsty kind of, like, horny jokes. There is one girl that really, like, does not hold back when she sees him. Very, very, very funny. I love his character. I think he's fantastic. I think he's really endearing as a character. I love his design. He's a great unit. Yeah, perfection. Oh, Corrin. I'm gonna put her here. She's so one note. She's anxious. That's her entire character. And they did this exact character better in Star Rail with Hua Hua. You know, Hua Hua was actually endearing. This is just... her entire character and personality is she's anxious and self-conscious. That's it. She's a very boring, awkward unit to use. And she's got this weird thing of she could be absolutely shredding and doing a lot of damage, but her weapon has, like, no impact feedback. So even if you're doing a shit ton of damage, it really doesn't feel like you are. It feels like you're just kind of standing there. I really don't like her. I think she's boring as shit. I think she's an incredibly one-note character. She's got a basic-ass design. Everything about her is just tired. Absolutely tired. Done before and done better, even. I'm pretty neutral towards her. I thought there was going to be a lot more to... This is actually far more negative than I thought it was. Don't worry, we'll get high soon. I thought there was going to be a lot more to her, and there kind of wasn't. She was about what I expected, and she's just kind of dull. She's a fun unit. She is a very fun unit. Very, very different. She is a fun unit. But, yeah, I've not done her trust quests, so I couldn't tell you any more than that. I don't have her, But, so I've not done her trust quests. Maybe I'd like her a little bit more than that if I did the trust quests. But she's just a really good maid. She's really patient. She's really capable. She's got a huge skill set. She's scary capable, and that's kind of it. Like, she's just good at what she does. But she is just kind of, If she wasn't such a fun unit, I'd probably put her down in boring as well. But no, I do like her. She's all right, but I'm pretty fucking neutral on her. Like, yeah. Ellen, I love her personality so much. I think a lot of people get her wrong. They think she's like this, like, whatever, aloof kind of girl. But she's not that, actually. She's just tired. She's overworked. She has, like, a full-time job as well as full-time responsibilities in her school. She keeps these lives separately a little bit, and she basically uses sugar in order to get through the rest of the day. She is drained as fuck. She's kind of like an allegory for the how overworked a lot of people in Asian cultures are, because the work culture in Asian communities is insane. You think it's bad in the West? Look at it in Asia. Sweet fucking Jesus. Quite frankly, she's the most fun character in the game to play. I love her design. I just wish she wasn't in a maid outfit. I'd much prefer her in a more punky outfit because I think it suits her look and her personality more. The maid outfit is kind of boring. But yeah, I love her personality. I think she's really endearing. I think she can be sweet at times as well. I do find it funny how a lot of people kind of get her wrong. And just think she's just kind of aloof. But more and more people seem to be, like, understanding her now. But she's just a super fun character. She is, in my opinion, the most fun character to play at the moment. Really fun character. I love her design. Not big on the outfit, though. Love her personality. Great character. Perfect character. Anton. I love his character, man. If I had not done his trust quests, Anton would be about here. But I think he's really endearing. He's very one note. He is very one note. But the thing that makes him work is that your character is the only character that gets him. You're the only character that gets him. He's like, your character has to play translator. He's kind of a loopy shonen protagonist. He's the kind of person that would fit in perfectly well in a JoJo like season, like in JoJo, right? He's just kind of crazy, and in a way, I imagine a lot of people find really fucking annoying, but I actually find him really endearing. He's not the most fun unit to play. I've played him quite a bit. He's okay, but he is very stop and start. He gets better as you, boost his abilities more, but he's not really great out of the box like a lot of other characters are. He's alright as a unit, but as a character, I think he's a lot of fun. And 90% of the time, that means more to me because I don't have to be actively playing a character in order to enjoy him. In fact, having a character with a good personality and a fun character is more important than being a good unit, because you're only going to play the unit in certain modes. You're going to experience the character in a lot more modes. So I actually really like Anton. I think he's a lot of fun. Ben. I love his character as well. I think I love the whole thing behind him where he's like, everyone's frightened of him because he's this big bear, but he is such a fucking softie, and he's got like a good head on his shoulders. He is the guy, he's in the same team as Anton. He is the guy that like keeps this team together because he is the only one in the group that's fucking responsible. We'll see another character like that later. He's the only one in this group who is fucking responsible, and he keeps the rest of them together. Without Ben, they'd kind of be fucked. Really sweet, kind of like endearing character, and quite frankly has the best drip in the entire game. The man looks like a fucking Chad. You can't see here, but if you see a proper picture of him, the man looks fucking good. Ben's great. As a unit, same problem with Anton. He doesn't really kind of feel right. He's very, very slow. The slowest character in the game. Very awkward to use. He does have a good combination with her, but outside of her, kind of, yeah. Speaking of her, is her name Khalida or something like that? She's okay. She's okay. I feel like you can kind of get most of her personality just by looking at her. She's the most fun unit to play, in my opinion, out of the Belobog Industries group, which both these two are. She's the most fun unit to play out of those. She's the most useful unit. She was my second S tier character from the standard banner, meaning I had got like 2 stun units right away. She is good. She is fun, but she just, her character is not quite there for me. I don't dislike her, but I do think that she's just kind of okay, right? I was actually kind of disappointed because of her design, I was expecting something a little bit more, you know, punky, like a little bit more spunky, but we didn't really get that. Her entire personality kind of boils down to daddy issues, which is kind of boring and can be done better and has been done better in this game. But yeah, I forget her name, but oh god, where the fuck? Yeah, I think she's about here. She's okay to play as, but all the gun units in this game have the same problem. Every single gun unit in Zenless so far just doesn't feel as good as the melee units. They're just kind of boring. She is the best of the bunch in terms of gun units. Like, she is pretty fun, but she's also kind of awkward. And yeah, her entire personality is very, very one note. And that one note is very funny in certain cases. But for the most part, I find her kind of dull. I know with what I've said about her, I should put her down in boring. But she isn't boring. She has her moments. I just don't think she's very endearing or very funny or very fun. She has moments. She does have moments in which I've either laughed out loud, or she's had a really cool scene, or she's been kind of fun to play as. But for the most part, I'm very neutral on her. I'm actually more neutral on her than I am a lot of her characters. I'm actually going to drop her down a little bit more. Ambi is perfection. I love Ambi. I love her character. Her character has been done before, but I love her character. She's got this like very dry sarcasm, this very dry silliness and wit. She is by far, out of the characters you start the game with, she is the most fun to play. And even now, she's really, really fun to play. She's really, really fun to play. I love her personality. I really like her design. Yeah, she is like a really good way of starting the game because she's so much fun to play. Just, yeah, great character. I love her. She's perfect. I was gonna say Nyanners then. She's not quite perfection. I'm gonna put her up here. Yeah, I'm gonna put her here. I forget her name now. It's like Nya something because she's a cat girl. I love her character. I think she's a lot of fun. I was quite neutral on her at first, but as it went on, I'm like, oh, okay. She's very generic, so whether or not you like her is going to come down to whether or not you like the kind of generic cat girl, like rogue character, because that's entirely what she is. She is the generic cat girl rogue. If you know what that character is, you know exactly what she is. We've seen it a billion times before. I think she's a lot of fun. I think after I got Lycan, she was the S tier that I most wanted. I still don't have her, but I still really want her, mainly because I want to do her trust quests. Because I want to know her personality more. but I want like a little bit more depth added to her personality, which a lot of the trust quests tend to do. But I really like her character. I think she's a lot of fun to play as. The only problem with her as a unit is she's awkward. And quite frankly, there's a character coming later that is essentially her, but better in every way. So, yeah. I really like her character. Didn't hit me at first, but I grew to really like it. I think she's a lot of fun to play, but I have, like, no reason at all to get her anymore, or want her anymore, outside of the trust quests, because we got a new character that I just like in every single way more. But, I love her character. Yeah, she's a lot of fun, but just not ideal. Billy is adorable. He was, at the start of the game, actually my favorite character to play as. I don't like playing as him anymore, because I've got more experience before with the characters now, right? Billy is not a very good unit, because he's a gun unit. One of the first 3 characters you get, but he is so endearing. Imagine Deadpool, but wholesome. That's pretty much what Billy is. He's Deadpool, but wholesome. He's a massive dork. He's really, really cute. Bit of a ditz. He's really endearing, right? He's like Anton, but with more cool, you know? he's Anton, just not as intense. I think he's very, very endearing. I like him a lot. He's just not a very fun unit, unfortunately. People aren't gonna like this because she's like one of the most popular characters in the game. I can't fucking stand Nicole. Nicole is popular for one reason and one reason only. Big boobies. That's it. That's the sole reason. She is... I get her. I get it. She's a Robin Hood. She's a Robin Hood. She robs from the rich to give to the poor. She goes out of her way to kind of like help a lot of disenfranchised people. She's like a low class kind of guardian, again like a Robin Hood, rob from the rich and give to the poor kind of character, right? She's very manipulative, but what I hate about her is she's manipulative even to the main character, and it's just like, look, Nicole, we know what you're actually like. You don't have to bullshit us all the fucking time. Stop manipulating us. Stop lying to us. We will help you out. We understand that you're doing this for a good cause. Stop fucking bullshitting us. But she's got this character where she's got an ego about her, and she manipulates people all the time, but she's constantly losing money, and she's constantly fucking people around and then dragging you into her fucking mess. On top of that, she's just not a fun unit to play as. She's incredibly stiff and just not remotely fun. She is integral to some comps, but I just think her trust quests made me dislike her even more, which has not happened with any other character I've done them with, right? I just think she's a very irritating person to deal with. She's not a fun unit. I don't much care about her design. I don't care for her character. I don't like her. I actively hate Nicole. I don't like, she's just a pain in the ass. She's a manipulative, disingenuous pain in the ass. And if she was just honest, I'd probably like her a lot more. Because, yeah, the reason why Andy, Billy, and the Nyanya cat girl, I forget her name, are in her team is because she's gone out of her way to help them. She's actually a really good person. She's just a cunt in how she goes around it, you know? I don't like her. She just annoys the shit out of me. I tell you what I do really fucking like, though. Lucy. Lucy's up there. Lucy is fantastic. I did not expect to like Lucy as much as I do. Because she comes across as a bitch. But quite frankly, if you understood what she has to go through, you'd understand why. Lucy is a chihuahua. She is a tiny little thing that acts tough because everyone can see she's just this cute little thing, right? She's the only one in the Sons of Clayton that has a brain on their shoulders. She has to deal with a bunch of good-natured and well-intentioned, but a bunch of biker idiots. A bunch of rowdy biker idiots. She's the only one in a group who is either not a fucking sleep all the time or not doing dumb shit all the time. She is the glue that holds the son of Clayton together. She has to deal with stupidity all the fucking time. So essentially barking like a bitchy chihuahua is the only way of getting through that to people. And then when you do her trust quests, you realize that, oh, she's actually been through a lot. She's, you know, her dad was a rich guy. Her dad's a super rich guy who essentially, Lucy didn't have much of a childhood. Her entire childhood was spent essentially building her up so she could be as successful as a business person as he is. And she got fed up with that. She wanted to make her own decisions, so she left for the outer rings. She joined this biker gang, and she used, ironically, the knowledge that she's gained through this intense studying in order to guide the Sons of Clayton. Her father is still following her around all the time, and like they've got this one guy fucking stalking her because her dad is so overprotective. And then it turns out that her dad actually turned into a fucking, like, you know, wanderer like she is for like 10 years until he met his wife. And then he settled into the business again because apparently that's what you do. And he assumed that she was just doing the same thing. So when she's hanging around with the main character, her dad assumes, oh, this guy must be a boyfriend or something. And it's overbearing. She's dealing with an overbearing parent all the fucking time. And then in the Sons of Clayton, which are a group of people she fucking loves, she's dealing with a bunch of idiots all the time. So she's this frustrated, yapping little chihuahua that is keeping everyone in line. And I just think she's incredibly endearing. I think she's a really strong character. Her design has grown on me. I didn't like it at first because she's basically a little girl. Like, I think if you have sexual thoughts about Lucy, you might want to go to therapy because it's basically lolly. She's a teenage girl. We can argue about whether that's legal teenage, maybe early 20s or something like that. But she doesn't look like an adult. She doesn't quite look like a kid either. So I'm guessing maybe around 16, 17, something like that. I don't know. Doesn't fucking matter. If you have sexy thoughts about Lucy, ugh. But her design did grow on me because I think it suits her character rather well. Because, like I say, I describe her as kind of a yappy chihuahua in the way she is. And I think her design fits in with that very well. She's the one that has to be the most boisterous, the most, like, look how strong and tough I am, because she's the one that looks the least that. She's incredibly capable. She's a really fun unit to play. I think her in combat is really fun, like smacking people with like a little pig dude and just smacking them like a fucking nuke, or just going right into people. A lot of fun. The bat suits her personality as well. This is one thing I like about Hayo. You can tell a lot about a character by the way they're designed and what weapon they're using and that kind of thing. She uses a bat because she's just blunt and forceful. You find that in a lot of other characters that use baseball bats or clubs and things like that. Really, really good character design. It did grow on me over time. One thing I will say about Lucy, I think her trust quests are some of the best in the game, but it's also the most blatant in the game. Lucy has a lot of perverted fans, and Hayo did not hold back with understanding that. Out of all the trust quests in the game, Lucy's is the one that most resembles you dating her, which is really awkward at times and a little bit uncomfortable, but it does kind of work with her character, with her overbearing father and all that kind of thing. It does kind of play into the story, so fair enough. But I really enjoy her character, I really enjoy her gameplay, and her design I think suits the character rather well. My only problem with Lucy really is the fandom around her. But I think she's great. Piper. I think Piper's going to be the first one I put here. Piper confuses the fuck out of me. Piper is apparently an old woman. Little old me. Little old Piper right here is just an old woman, and she, you know... yeah, she's an old woman. Her entire trust quests basically boil around things not being the way they were when she was young. Her being very out of touch. She's like a tired old... she's a tired, laid-back old woman who likes gambling. That's her entire personality. Her character design doesn't do much for me. I get it. They've gone with the kind of like 1950s rockabilly look. Because that's more of like the biker look of the period. Makes sense. Character concept, character design flows nicely. It just doesn't really appeal to me. Her character doesn't really appeal to me either. I don't dislike it, but it is very, very one note and kind of boring. But what I do like is her gameplay. This girl is a fucking Beyblade. Spin to win, baby. And for an A tier unit, oh my fucking god, the amount of damage that thing can do. It's insane. She is a really good unit that you can hopefully get lucky enough to get early on that will just fucking decimate. And bonus, she works really well with Lucy. They're part of the Sons of the Clayton. Same team. Yeah, like, Piper's combat is just so much fun, so satisfying. Spin to fucking win. Fantastic. Right, up next we've got Bernice. Bernice is kind of like the Anton of the group. She's a little one note. Oh, I'm gonna put her here. I like her character. I do like her character. She's very one note. She's essentially Harley Quinn light. She's ditzy, and she has like this really one funny moment in which she's like, so warm, and then she brings out her fucking like flamethrowers and starts unleashing hell. She's a bit ditzy, she's a bit loopy, she's a bit crazy, but fuck me am I excited to roll on her. She's the next character that's coming up, and I am fucking getting on her because she is such a fucking fun unit to use. Oh my god. The impact from the flames and the combos with the flames going everywhere, she's just insane. She is so fun to use. And she will be part of my main setup because as much as I've loved using Lycan, Sukaku, and Ellen, I will hopefully be using her along with two other characters that I much prefer as characters. Like, again, I love these characters, but the combat with these three are just going to be much more, like, frantic and fast. And after so long of using Lycan, Sukaku, and Ellen, I found myself mostly using Ellen all the fucking time. And considering that is pretty much all I've played since the launch of the game, for the most part, then I'm ready for a change. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting her and adding her to my team and like building up this secondary team to hopefully be the main team. And then Team Ice Ice Baby with Lycan, Sukaku, and Ellen will be my second main team. But Bernice is just so much fucking fun. Not a big fan of the pigtails, but the rest of her design is just, it's pure perfection. I love the leather jacket, I love the spikes, I love her look, I love the fucking flamethrower combat, just zipping around everywhere, flames going everywhere, way more impact from the flames than you would imagine, like the feedback for when those flames hit the enemy, you feel that, really, really satisfying combat. Love Bernice as a unit, and from what we've heard of her so far, she's going to be a damn good unit as well. Up next, we got Caesar. Caesar has... Ooh. You know what? Caesar's here. I love Caesar. I was disappointed with her at first. When we first got Caesar and we started, playing with her as a unit, I was a little disappointed with her at first. Because I'm like, oh, this Sword and Shield unit really doesn't have the impact that I would like. I thought, like, as a Sword and Shield unit, she'd have a little bit more oomph for when, she parries and she smacks back with the shield. But she doesn't. So I actually found her as a unit to be kind of disappointing at first. I actually originally was not going to roll on her because I wanted to make sure I got Bernice. But playing her during the story, it made me completely fall in love with her. And I ended up getting her and rolling her. I got her in 40 rolls. I did 410 rolls and I got her. So I got really lucky. And I should have enough rolls in order to get Bernice. So I'm super happy that's worked out for me. I love Caesar's design. Caesar's design is my favorite design of all the characters in the game. I think she looks badass. Caesar is the kind of character I would make. If we had a character creator, Caesar is the closest thing to the kind of character I would make. There's a few things I'd change out, but Caesar she'd be pretty similar. I'd put her in pants, for example, instead of the mini skirt thing. Just because I think it looks better. But I love her design. I love her personality. Like, out of all the people in this game, Caesar is the person I would most want in my life. If these were real people, I would want Caesar as a friend. She is someone who you can rely on. She is someone that will do everything, like, in her power to help you. She is incredibly warm and caring. She's a bit thick, but, she's a bit thick, but she's not stupid. She's just a little bit lacking in education, if that makes sense. She actually reminds me of a friend of mine who is like one of the greatest, most like nicest people you could ever meet. Really strong individual that you really want in your corner, but not the brightest on paper. I hope he doesn't see this. He's not stupid. He's just not the brightest on paper. He's not remotely stupid, actually. He's just not the brightest on paper. And that's kind of what she reminds me of. She reminds me a lot of him, which is probably why I love her so much. She is just this strong, caring individual. And she's strong in numerous ways as well. She's not just physically strong. She's strong of spirit as well. She's just a beautiful character in several ways. And during the course of the game, I actually got used to how she plays. And I really enjoy her character. She's my favorite character in the game at the moment. Bar one. But I love her. I love her design. I love her gameplay. I love her personality. She is a perfect character. And obviously, honestly, out of all the characters, she's the closest I would design myself, bar a few changes. Up next, we got Leiter, another one of the Sons of Clayton. I don't know what he's like as a unit so far, but I really like his personality. I think he's a very fun unit. He is. A lot of people shit on Leiter. It's kind of funny. He's one of the most capable fighters in the group. He's incredibly edgy, and he knows that, and he plays into it. He's a very self-aware character, and he's also the punching bag for the rest of the characters. I think he's very, very endearing. I think he's very funny. And I'm actually quite interested in seeing his unit when it comes out now. Because, yeah. Plus, it'd be nice to have an S-tier man. It would be nice to have a male in Zenless, because Zenless is made up of like 99% women. So having like an actual man there would be nice, just for a little bit of diversity, you know? But I love his design. I really like his personality. I don't know what he's like in a unit yet, because he's not developed enough. He played as kind of like a passive. He just kind of popped up, did some damage, and pissed off again. But you never got to control him yourself. So I don't know quite how he's going to play. He's called Leiter because he has like these gauntlet things that light up as he punches. So I don't know. He feels like he's going to be a mixture of Lucar and that new Lucar and Mose from Star Rail. It feels like he's going to be a mixture of that. He's like edgy but self-aware, very endearing. Really like his design. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what he's going to be like as a unit. But as a character, I really like it. I can thoroughly see him coming up here at a later date, though, when his unit comes out. But we'll see. I think he's around here at this point. Up next, I forget her name. They're okay. I'm going to put her here. Yeah, I think she's a really endearing character. I think she's really cute. Her gameplay is kind of boring because she's another gun unit, so her gameplay is kind of boring. But I do like her as a character. She's pretty cool as a character. I like her design. I do like myself a woman in uniform, what can I say? I do like her design. I like her personality. And the only reason I could ever see me rolling on her, really, is for the Trust Quests, because I've seen one or two from the Trust Quests on YouTube, and she's kind of innocent and cute, and yeah, I really like her. But as a unit, she's boring and awkward. She does a shit ton of damage, but it requires a lot of investment. She's not good straight out the box. You really need to work on her and get the right comp in order to make the most out of her. But she is an amazing unit if you can do that. She's just a gun unit, so she's not very fun. And as such, she's mainly here down to her personality. If it wasn't for her personality and her design and whatnot, she'd be further down, I think. This is one of the most fun units in the game. I was gonna put her above Bernice, but actually I think about there is about right. She is insanely fun. I was saving up for Jane at the time she was coming out, so I didn't roll on her because I was making sure I was gonna get Jane. But I did do the trial of her. Oh my fucking god, she's fun. She is one of the most fun units in the game. I also have, like, good stun units already. I didn't need another one. But she is one of the most fun units in the game. Super fast, super zippy, super impactful. Really fucking fun unit. Her personality, I've not done her Trust Quests. Maybe she'll be more endearing. Her personality, she's a robot. So, picture every anime robot ever. That's her character. Her design, another fucking lolly. Pretty fucking boring. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me. But as a unit, one of the most fun in the game. Super fucking cool unit. But she is a character I view entirely in terms of as a unit, because I cannot view her as anything else, because her personality bores me, her design bores me. It really is just, like, the unit is so much fun. It trumps a lot of that other stuff. Seth. I fucking... do you know what? Yeah, he's going up here. I fucking adore Seth. I did not expect to like Seth as much as I do. You know why I love Seth? Well, for one, fun unit. He is Ben, but better. He is a defense unit that is actually fun to play. Really, really fun to play unit. He's going to be part of my second team that I'm working on at the moment, that Bernice will finish. Really, really fun unit to play. I love his animations. Like, he's got the fucking charge blade from Monster Hunter, right? Like, even some of the animations is straight from Monster Hunter. I'm a great sword user, but still, the charge blade, cool looking weapon. But what really makes me like Seth is his personality. Because Seth is me. That's why I like him. Seth is a guy that is driven by a sense of right and wrong that is stronger than most people's. To the point he comes across as a bit of a fuddy-duddy and a bit of a paladin to too many people, you know what I mean? On top of that, he's a bit naive with it, actually. But the main reason I think he's like me is because he's honest. Seth respects honesty. Seth doesn't want fake platitudes. He doesn't want friendly bullshit. He wants the truth. If you think he's shit at something, he wants you to tell him that he's shit at something. He wants the truth. There was this girl in the force that's because he's a cop that's fawning all over him, right? And she's doing everything in her power to mold herself to the kind of person she thinks he'll like. And in the end, she just has to come out and say to him straight that she would like to like him as her boyfriend. You know, she wants to be his girlfriend. And he says, in a very cold, blunt way, I don't want to be your boyfriend. And she gets really pissed and storms off. And then he explains it, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. At no point did she try to get to know him. At no point did she try to let him get to know her. All she did was try and imitate what she think he liked. She tried to mold himself to him, and he doesn't want that. He wants genuine relationships, genuine friendships, in which people are direct and honest with him. He doesn't want the bullshit, and fuck me. That Seth is one of the characters, I have few characters, in fact he's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, that has done that in a realistic way. He is legit with that. I'm 100% there with him. I respect people who are fucking direct. I respect people who don't just bullshit in order to save face and continue on with the farce of, like, you know, social cohesion. Don't worry about backlash. I'm not going to jump down your throat. I'm not a shitty person. Just tell me. Be honest with me. And let me be honest with you. That's how friendships are forged. That's how real, true, trusting relationships and any kind of relationship, friendships, family, business, fucking romance, any kind of relationship, that is how it is forged, with trust and direct communication, instead of all the bullshit we're all supposed to do in society of, oh, make sure we lie to people all the time and be soft to one another and you know, just say what you think people are expecting rather than what you're actually thinking. A lot of the times when people say that, people think, oh, you're thinking something horrible then. No, I'm just not thinking what I'm expected to be thinking. I'm not going to give you a bunch of platitudes. I'm going to be honest. So that means when somebody like me or Seth gives you a compliment, when me and Seth, or somebody like me or Seth is nice to you, we really mean it. We're not just doing it to play our role in this social game. We really mean it. We really wanted to do it because we like you. We respect parts of you. And it's just perfect. Seth really nails that character. He is a really good person, naturally. And he cares about honesty and being direct. It's so rare to see someone who is a good-natured fighter for justice, who doesn't just bullshit all the time and give people happy truths. No, he's honest. But he's also a really good person. You never see that. Honesty is typically depicted as on characters who are fucking dickheads or lack tact, and he doesn't do that. I think he's brilliant. I feel seen. I feel respected, like, through this character. You know, I love him. Speaking of love, Jane fucking Doe. Oh my god, like the most fun character in the game, bar none. She is a zippy fucker. Playing her is just zip, 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 attack, zip, 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 zip. She's just everywhere at once. She's so fucking hype. Dodging all the moves the enemy makes. And, like, just attacking in the most dexterous fucking, like, live way. It's just, oh, so fucking satisfying. And her entire personality and her design and her concept all perfectly mixed together. She was initially reported as being a cat firen. What's a firen? Well, this wolf guy here is a wolf firen. Ben is a bear firen. This cat girl is a cat firen. You get the idea. She was originally reported as being a cat firen in her report. The report lied. She's a rat. In more ways than one. She's an undercover cop. She's a rat firen, but she's also undercover as a rat. Oh, it's so good. Her entire personality, like, she puts on this gangster personality where she's incredibly confident and sultry and kind of, like, pushes through people's kind of insecurities and puts them on edge. She does it all the fucking time. And she's a psych kind of like a professional. She's a criminal psychologist, investigator. Like, she knows how people's brains tick, so she can get into their soft, squishy innards and really fuck with their heads. And she's just got this perfect femme fatale personality. That's just, she just loves fucking with people. And, you know, as I say, getting in their heads and, like, fucking them around, and just, she's so confident and she's so sultry and fucking sexy and just, but then you realize that's all a character. That is her gangster person. She's an undercover cop. So who is Jane Doe really? She's a really warm and soft and caring person who over fucking works herself like crazy. She's actually a really nice, warm person. But you'll only know that if you get her, you do her trust quests. If you don't, she's just gonna come across as the way she's like when she's undercover. As kind of like a cocky, aggressive, sultry character that uses her sex appeal to get what she wants and really fucks with people's heads. But behind that persona that she puts on, she's just a really warm, caring person. And the way her design mixes in with her concept and her gameplay is the most fun in the game, in my opinion. I like fast, speedy characters. I also like characters that have impact. Where when you hit, you feel it. And with Jane, you don't really feel it when you hit, but you feel it when you dodge. Playing Jane Doe is like playing a Dragon Ball character that's just dodging attacks all the time and fighting back like extreme succession. It's super speedy, and the dodge, the impact of the dodges, and then the attack straight after the dodge. That's what gives you the impact. I adore her character. Her design is pure perfection, and I would be lying if I told you this wasn't like horniness motivated. It was. Jane Doe does things for me unlike any other Hoyo character. I'm not really someone who waifu rolls. I've never really done it. I've joked about it. I joked about it with Lycan, for example. I'm not really someone that waifu rolls, but I'll be honest, with Jane, before I even knew anything about the character, really, she was a waifu roll. I had decided she's who I'm going to roll on right away because she just does things for me. But it just turns out that I think her character is pure perfection. The concept realization in everything that is put together in her is just pure perfection. She's the most fun unit. She's the best design unit. She's everything about her is pure perfection. And that's why she's my favorite character in the game. And she's my favorite Hoyo character. Including all the ones I love from Star Rail, she's my number one in that as well. Because, she is... Alright, so we've done Zenless. On to Honkai Star Rail. So, same tier system as last time. Pure perfection character. I love the combat. I love the design. I love the personality. Great unit. Just everything is perfect. I love the character. For me, characterization is more important than being used as a unit. So, obviously, as a unit's only important when you're actually actively doing the fighting in the game, but the character is important for literally everything else. And considering the fact that you're only going to have any free units in combat at any given moment, the vast majority of characters are going to be more enjoyable as characters over units. Although, in this case, it's more enjoyable in terms of a 4. I'm still in the mind of Zenless, not Star Rail. Never mind. But, right. So let's get into it. I quite like the female Trailblazer, and I quite like the male Trailblazer. That's kind of it. There's not a lot to say about them, really. It depends on how they play them. From what we have seen of them outside of, the basic thing, they're very weird. They're very silly. They're very daft. They're kind of cocky. The galactic baseballer kind of thing. They're fun, but I can't really put them any higher than they're okay. I don't love them. I don't think they're a great unit. I don't think they're perfection. They're okay. They're okay. Up next, we got March, who at one point I would have put here, but at this point, I've kind of gotten used to her, and she's about here. Dan Hong, I really love him as a character. I love these. It's the same reason I love Lycan. I love characters who are quite stoic, but you can tell there's a lot of warmth underneath them. Dan Hong isn't cold. Dan Hong is understated, and he's quiet. But there's a lot of warmth inside of him. I really, really like Dan. So, yeah, love his character. I forget this girl exists. I also forget that he exists. I I have talked about her before. Herder is annoying. I'm not a fan of the cocky little girl or the cocky little boy trope. It's usually a girl, though, of which, oh, I am the smartest person in any given room. I get it. She's not a little girl. This is just a robot body she uses. But yeah, I think she's annoying. That hasn't changed. There was at one point in the series in which Herta was the only character in the series I fucking hated. It might actually be the same now. I'm not quite sure just yet. But I think she is just really irritating. I don't like her. She's annoying. And it wasn't until that she became really good in the AoE mode, or is it the follow-up mode? I can't kind of remember. But Herta was kind of like the only shit character in the game up until she got a niche. But I can't stand her. I don't like her design. Her design does nothing for me. It's just a little girl robot thing. Her personality I find actively annoying. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Oh, where the fuck do I put? Because I don't hate Hook, but I don't particularly like her either. I'm gonna put her here. I think Hook is particularly boring, but at no point have I ever really enjoyed her. In fact, the one time I did like Hook was during the Pokemon event in which she was pretending to be Silver, so she was fucking silent. I like Natasha. I think Natasha is endearing. But unfortunately, at one point in the story, she would have been a lot higher. But at this point in the story, we've come across much better kind of characters overall. So she's okay. She's okay. I like her. Sanpo. I'm pretty neutral towards Sanpo. Sometimes I find him annoying. Sometimes I find him really entertaining. I can understand why people hate him, though. I can understand why some people hate him, but I think he's alright. I quite like him, but yeah, Sanpo depends on my mood. Sanpo does depend on my mood, so I'm pretty neutral towards him. I like him more than March, at least. Ooh. Again, ooh, you know what? I think she's pretty boring. Yeah. I'm gonna put her here. No, I'm gonna put her here. I think she's a pretty boring character. She's a good unit. I've used her a few times, but I do think she's a pretty boring character. She's Twilight Sparkle without the neuroticism. Oh, dude, I love Saval. It's so shitty that Saval was like the first musical character, and then Robin come up, and like Saval just doesn't exist anymore. Hoyo, on the off chance you're watching this, now that Bellabog has started to be known by the galaxy, can we have Saval kind of like rocking it up somewhere, please? Can we have that? Because yeah, Robin, idol culture, people love that shit, but personally speaking, I want a metalhead, I want a punk, I want whatever the fuck she is, like shredding that guitar and giving us like true, like heavy music. I have listened to the Robin music on many occasions on YouTube, but I would much prefer to have like punk or metal or something like that. Please, for the love of God, give Saval a break, man. Let her have some proper music videos coming out, please. I think Saval is awesome. Saval was my first Honkai crush. She's basically Avril Lavigne. It's kind of like how I look at her. I really like Saval. I think she's a really endearing character. It's just a shame that we've basically not seen anything from her in months, over a year now. At one point she would have been down here, but now I'm pretty neutral towards her. She's alright. She's kind of inoffensive at this point that we don't see her all the time. I kind of like Sushang. She's pretty fun. Yeah, she's pretty fun. Not much of a character. She's just like the spunky fighter character. That's kind of it. Oh, Ting Yun. I'm going to put Ting Yun here, because Ting Yun doesn't really exist anymore. And her character, I didn't particularly enjoy her character. Not until the very end. But she is an amazing unit. She is, for a fucking 4-star, she's an amazing unit. An incredible unit. So, yeah, Ting Yun is fantastic. It's just a shame that she has the Foxy and debuff in which everyone fucking targets her all the time, but she's an amazing unit. Himiko was kind of in the same position as Herter, in which she was kind of useless up until the same event. I do actually really like Himiko as a character, though. But I wouldn't say I love the character. I'm gonna put her here. I think Himiko didn't really do much for me at the start, because when I played the start of the game, all I ever heard from Himiko was "Mummy, mummy, mummy, mummy" from the community. So yeah, but she likes her coffee black and strong, like any true connoisseur. And she did have that really cool moment when Topaz was introduced, in which she has like this quiet, commanding presence. Himiko means serious bee's knees when she wants to, and she's kind of cool when she brings up that like understated, powerful energy. Himiko's cool. She's not great as a unit. She was my first 5-star. She's not great as a unit. She is decent in some modes, but overall, there tends to be a better one. And her character hasn't really made a massive impression so far, but I do really like her from what we've seen. So, yeah. Welt, I really like. I think he's basically the same kind of character as Himiko, just, you know, stronger. You know, he's the dad. That's the mom and dad of the Express, you know? And they're cool for kind of, like, the same reasons. Like, Welt very rarely threatens people, but when he does, it's a very quiet threat. But it's a quiet threat that has a lot of ripples in it. I really like Welt. He gives me Giles vibes from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I can see Welt going fucking insane. I am aware of some of the Honkai Impact lore. I know he's not actually from this universe. He's come from that world, but I don't know too much about the lore. And when I have looked into it, I've already forgotten most of it. It doesn't interest me too much, but he is a very, very powerful individual. Only problem is it doesn't really showcase that in him as a unit. He's an okay character, but he hasn't really had, much like Himiko, he hasn't really had a chance to truly shine just yet. While we're here, I'm actually going to drag the female Trailblazer ahead just a little bit, because I just use her a lot more than the main one. This guy I've used on my American account, which I abandoned several patches ago. I mainly use her, and she does have like a kind of a fun, quirky personality, so I think she's above these. Bronya. I like Bronya. I don't want to separate the Zenlesses too much. I'm gonna put her here. I like Bronya. She's alright. She's mainly fun when she's, you know, playing off Seele. But, yeah, we've just not really seen much of her from a while, unfortunately. She's a really cool character. She's starting to come into her own. A strong sense of justice. She's cool. I like her. But, again, like, we've just not seen much of her. I'm hoping that Bellabog kind of, like, really shoots up there over time. I can see the Lorfu working with them and becoming, stalwart allies. So, we'll see. Clara. I typically do not like the little kid characters, but I actually really like her. I find she triggers my must protect genes. I think she's really endearing. I typically hate characters like her, the annoying, cute little kid character, but I actually really like her. I find her to be very, very endearing, and she's actually a pretty decent unit as well. Although, admittedly, at this point, she's being completely outclassed by... Where is she? Her. She's been completely outclassed by her at this point, but she is a pretty fun. She's a pretty fun character. She's a very satisfying character, but again, completely outclassed at this point. But I think she's cute. I like her. She triggers my must protect genes, and I like the Sparrog character that comes along with her. So yeah, I really like her. Japod. Japod's kind of like fallen from parlance with me at this point, just because I've not seen him. And here's my thing with Japod, right? Here's my thing with Japod. Um, I have been insanely lucky in Star Rail. Insanely lucky. I have obtained every single character I've rolled for, except Topaz, who I really didn't want that much anyway. Where the fuck's Topaz? Oh, there she is. Who I really didn't want that strongly anyway. I think the only reason I rolled on Topaz was because I kind of liked her and I had the Jade. But the last two rolls, I've struggled, and I have failed the 50-50 twice, and both of those times I've got Japod. So I've got like an E3 of him at this point. He's okay. I wanted him very strongly at the start of the game, because this guy down here is like my main character at the start of the game. I loved him, and he would have been perfect for him. The problem is that at the time I did eventually get him, I had no use for him. And as a character, he's just... Compared to the characters we've got later on down the line, he doesn't stand out as much as he used to. So he's kind of fallen down. Like, at one point, Japod was up here for me. Like, I used to really, really like him. But at this point, I'm just kind of neutral on him. He's the one of these characters that could shoot up and down quite a bit. Like, he could go up. But at this point, I'm just kind of neutral towards him. I kind of forget about him for the most part. Bailu, I think, is super boring. And if I could do mixed tiers, I'd put her about, like, between these. I tend to find her quite annoying. I don't hate her, but I tend to find her quite annoying. But she's the worst healer in the game. I don't care what people say. She's a boring-ass, like, healer. She's an unreliable healer. She's one of the few characters I don't have, especially from the standard banner. I think there's like only one or two characters from the standard banner I don't have at this point, and thankfully I've been lucky enough not to fucking get her. She's not very good. I don't like her design. I don't like her voice. I don't like her character for the most part. Occasionally Bailu is decent when she's bouncing up somewhat. So, do you know what? I've convinced myself. No, I really don't like her. I can't really think of much nice to say about her. No, I don't like her. I think she's irritating. Yanqing. I love this dude. He was like my main character for ages in Star Rail until he was eventually replaced. My Ice Boy. I know a lot of people hate him for the same reason Japod's kind of in my shit books at the moment, because he's been my like failed 50-50 character twice in a row. A lot of people had that with Yanqing like multiple times. I really liked him. I thought he was a really endearing, like, honorable, good-natured kid who can get a little bit cocky at times, but for the most part is, like, really respectable. He is a character that has evolved more in terms of, like, his honor and his swordsmanship than, like, a lot of other older characters in the game, if that makes sense. Like, he's very mature for his age. Really, really, really good kid. I think his design is decent. I think his animations are great. I think he's really fun to play. Not as much anymore, but this kind of like was like my starter Pokemon, you know? You're never gonna replace your starter Pokemon, really. And that's what Yanqing was for me. It took a lot for me to finally not use him. In fact, we got a replacement for him later on with, where is she? This character. This character is Yanqing, but better in every single way, except her character. And she's also got the worst English voice acting in the game. She's actually painful to listen to. But I didn't roll for her because I just hated her character and I hated her voice acting, and she would ruin the game for me by playing her. Like, she would actively make the game less fun. But she is a character I hire out quite a bit because, like, for grinding when I'm not paying attention to the game, because she's one of the best characters in the game in terms of a unit. But yeah, so I love Yanqing. I'll defend Ice Boy to the death. Love him. Seeley is pretty fucking forgettable at this point. I'm gonna do some reorganizing, I think. Yeah, she's pretty fucking forgettable at this point. I don't think she's boring because she's fun when she shows up, but she is kind of forgettable at this point. I'm gonna put March up here. That is about right, I'd say. Yeah, that's about right. She's a very one-note character, and she mainly works when she's bouncing off Bronya. Same thing with Bronya and her. Like, they mainly work when they bounce off together. The General. This man, as a unit, has only gotten better and better and better and better as the game has gone along. I don't think there's a single unit that has had that many buffs as the game has gone on. In, like, passive buffs. There are so many units and like sets and things that have come out that have just made him more usable and better as the game has gone on. I don't have him yet, but he's on like one of my top tier lists. Basically, when a role comes along in which there's no repeats that I want to get outside of him, there's no Eidolons that I want to get, or there's no new characters that I want to get, I'm rolling for him, basically. That's the way it works for me. So, I really want him because I fucking love him as a character. I think as a unit he's really fun. I adore his design, and his character in general has just got better and better. His character has got better, and him as a unit has got better as the game has gone on. I think he's one of the strongest characters in the game in multiple ways of kind of like, you know, perceiving strongest. Really, really, really good character. She's also kind of forgettable, and I know it's been explained to me before, but I don't like how her tail is white and her hair is green. It looks wrong. I actually think she's a pretty boring character. She's decent as a unit for a 4-star, but I do think she's a pretty boring character. Silver has grown on me. I don't quite love her character, but she has grown on me. I'm gonna put her about here. I'm not gonna separate him any more than that. Like, he's kind of like stayed there, you know. He's kind of. Do you know what? I'm just gonna do that again, just because they're basically the same character. But yeah, I'd put Silver about there. She's grown on me since the start of the game. She irritated me at first because, like, hello fellow kids. I'm also a gamer. I understand you. And actually, Hayo does seem to understand their player base. So having like a generic-ass gamer character like that is a bit weird because it's like a very fellow kids character. But she did grow on me. She became less irritating, less kind of like goblinoid as it went on. So she's a little bit more down to earth now. So yeah, she's alright, but still not my favorite character. She was one of my most used characters for a while though. Like early on, she was kind of broken. She's not as useful anymore, but at that time she was a really, really good character that just completely changed the game in terms of like how good she was. I actually got lucky with her as well. I looked at the rolls. It was the final day, or like close to the final day, and I'm like, you know what? I've got a feeling. Boom, 110 roll, and I got her. Not rolled on the banner whatsoever at that point. I just got a feeling, and I rolled, and I got her. And I was glad that I did, because that was at the start. That was around the start of the game. Basically, when I started playing the game, the general here was the active character, and I didn't start rolling right away. And when she was my first roll, and on my first roll, on my first character, I got her. Very, very, very lucky. Loucher as a unit, I'm gonna put here. He's a fucking amazing unit. He's like super. He's like passive healing. The problem with Loucher is my most used character during the launch of the game, and is probably going to be my most used character this year as well, because he's just in one of my groups all the time. He's just passive healing. He heals. I've completely forgotten about his character. At this point, I don't care about his character at all anymore. His design is fine, but it doesn't really do anything for me. He's strictly there because he is less of a character and he's more of a stat stake. He's more of a passive to the group at this point because I forget that he's there. I use him in like every group. If I'm using 2 groups, he's gonna be in one of those groups. Like, he's just a really, really, really good healer. That's it. He's just a really, really good healer. Nothing else about him really interests me. and I forget that he exists a lot of the time, but he's a really, really good healer. So yeah, he is a pure unit. Luker recently went from absolutely forgettable because he came into the game way too late. He came into the game like when we were about halfway through or near the end of the Lorfu, way after Bellabug. And he was just kind of thrown in there and ignored. But in this recent patch, he's had a bit of a moment, and he's okay. He's okay. He's incredibly generic and forgettable, but he's okay. Yeah, I think that suits him. Blade. Oh my god, he is so boring. I want to die. I have no personality. I am pure edge personified. The only reason I'm going to put him higher than these characters is because he looks cooler. But that's kind of it. I'm going to, Hook, yeah, I'm putting him there. Because I've used Hook before. I've had more fun with Hook than him. Like, he's just... I've used Peeler as well. She's just so fucking dull. He's just so boring. His entire personality is generic edge. I don't like him. Kafka I used to hate. Now she's one of my favorite characters. Mainly because we've not actually seen her for a while. And because we've not seen her for a while, I've not had to deal with her gaslighting bullshit. I think when she does pop up again, she's gonna go down to here. When we see her again, and when I have to deal with her gaslighting bullshit, she'll go down there. But as it stands, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. I've put her up here. She is in my main team. My main team is Lalaucher, Kafka, Swan, wherever she is. I always miss Swan. And then, I forget who the last member is, but it doesn't fucking matter. Oh, of course, Ron May. Wherever the fuck she is. Yeah, Ron May. That's my main team. Kafka is... I think Nihility is the most fun way of playing the simulated universe. I think Nihility is super satisfying. A lot of the Nihility characters I really, really like. And she's just Saval, but better in, like, every single way. Except maybe personality. She is, quite frankly, one of the coolest looking characters in the game. She has the best drip in the game. I still think even now, she just looks the most cool out of all of them. Her outfit is pure perfection. Yeah, I like her design. I think she's an amazing unit. And she's grown on me a lot as the game. Again, she was another one like Himiko that I was put off of, because at the start of the game, all I heard was mummy, 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 mummy from the fucking fan base. But no, I do quite like her. I've used her so much now that she's really grown on me. I think Kafka gameplay is really, really fun. But, yeah, I think by the time we see her again in the story, she's going to go down here. Well, yeah, specifically here. But for now, I'm putting her up here because I feel really, really good about her because I use her all the fucking time. And she's quite fun to listen to and so on and so forth. Lynx is forgettable. Yeah, Lynx is forgettable. She's pretty fucking forgettable as well. She's an amazing unit. She's one of the best defensive units in the game. She is a fantastic unit, but I kind of forget that she exists a lot of the time. Oh, here we go. My love, but better. Dan Hung is just... I love him, dude. He is my favorite of the main group, but cooler. This guy was my main for a while. Just unleashing hell, just spending all your skill points just to unleash hell. And then when you got on that rhythm where you just did it again and again and again. And with some sim U where you would just unleash hell. Constantly unleash hell over and over and over again, and there was nothing they could do about it. His design is his design is gorgeous. The only thing I would fix was give him a beard like a real man. But I love his look. I love his gameplay. I love Dan Hung as a character in general. Pure perfection. Not much to say other than that. I want to see him again. Gleniphan is cute. I quite like her. She's a pretty fun unit. She's pretty cute. Also pretty... nah, about there. No. Yeah, actually. I think that's about right. Her I like using in a specific mode in which I'm actually engaging. She has the worst voice acting in the fucking game. She is so horrible to listen to. She sounds like he looks. She is so boring, fucking fake, edgy, really bad acting. I don't know who the voice actor is, but I hope she doesn't voice anything else, or she was just having an off day that day, because it's really, really bad voice actor. She is one of the best units in the game. She's really, really good. She is Ice Boy, but better in every way as a unit. But I fucking hate her. Her design is boring. Everything about her character is unbelievably dull, unless you just like edge and nothing else. She's just so fucking dull in every conceivable way. She's just a really good unit, right? Topaz, I kind of find annoying. However, Topaz is a really good character to hate. Topaz is a fun character to hate. You want to punch this bitch on a regular basis. So, I'm going to put her there. She's alright, because I think Topaz is as is intended. She's a character that is really, really fun to hate. She represents fucking, like, middle management capitalism. Fuck her. She's pretty forgettable. She was a great unit for a time, and then another unit came around that kind of did the exact same thing and just completely overshadowed her. Really quickly as well, actually. She is outside of being pseudo-goth, she is pretty fucking forgettable. Put it there. Hua Hua triggers my must protect genes, much like Clara. So, but she also comes with Mr. Tail as well, doesn't she? I'm gonna put her there. Hua Hua, again, Hayo breaking trends for me. I usually hate the annoying little, like, kid characters. But, I mean, Hook. But Hua Hua triggers my must protect genes. I think she's adorable, and I fucking love Mr. Tail. I think Mr. Tail is just super funny. Little fucking fluffy tsundere. She's also a really good unit. She is a much more interesting healer to use over Laucher. She's my favorite healer in the game currently. So, yeah, she's great. Her ulti is really cool as well. Like, Mr. Tail turns into a big spirit wolf thing. This dude is really, really fun as a character. Every single time he comes up, he is just pure entertainment. Like, just pure entertainment. He's so much fun. But we don't really see him too often, and the voice actor changed recently, and it's just not as good, unfortunately. But I really like Argenti. He's a lot of fun. The most forgettable character in the game. I'm not even going to say anything beyond that. This dude is great. He's an asshole, but endearing. I think he is a lot of fun. Yeah. He's an asshole, but he's endearing. I think he's a lot of fun. I still haven't built him as a character. Hayo gave this guy to us for free. Genshin would never. Hayo gave this guy to us for free. He's a really, really fun character. Apparently a very decent unit, but I don't know. I just kind of know him as a character. His design is decent as well. I'd like to see more from his kind of, like, you know, world. It seems pseudo Mesopotamian inspired or Greek inspired or something like that. Whatever. But yeah, fun character. She is my favorite character in the game. Her design is pure elegance. I love it. Her voice actor is pure perfection. She is one of the best fucking units in the game. She is, like, the best support without, like, question. And I think her character is really interesting, because she is a cold, calculating scientist, and I think she's going to cause a lot of problems. In fact, the last time we saw Himiko and Welt, they were going to catch up on Raw May and seeing what she was up to, because apparently she was up to something quite shady. So, I think, yeah, she's a very cold character. She's not like Dan Heng, where she's got a lot of warmth beneath. She's a very, very cold character. And I just think there's a danger to her that you wouldn't expect because of how elegant and delicate she looks, which is something that makes her so fucking dangerous. I think she's a really, really cool character and might end up being a very kind of fun villain. But so far, as a unit, she's one of the best in the game. I've rolled twice on her to get better Eidolons. I think I got like an E2 of her at the moment now, or an E1, I can't remember. Really, really good character. I cannot see her being removed from my team anytime soon. I love this guy in terms of his design. The keyholes in the eye, hinting that he's the key to the mystery the entire time. His animations as a unit is pretty fucking fun, but at the same time as liking the themes within his design, I don't like his design in general. He's this weird Shota-looking little boy character, and I'm not a fan. I'm gonna put him here purely because of his plot. If it wasn't for that, he'd be going lower. But it'd be purely because of his plot, he's here. Swan kind of annoys me as a character. She rubs me the wrong way. I don't trust a single fucking word that comes out of her mouth. But she is a fun unit. Especially considering I am a Kafka user. She purrs amazingly with Kafka. I really, really like her as a Kafka purr. She's also just better to freaking look at than the rest of these. The only problem I have with her is she should be wearing like her dress should have a back. Swan was the first character in Star Rail where they felt like they made design decisions purely for honey bait over a good design character. Her design looks like her dress should have like a coattail going down the back, but she doesn't. She just has like short shorts so they can show off her ass. And it's very noticeable that they've done that, which is really annoying because it feels as if her design is missing something, and it bugs me all the time. The same way her tail being white and her hair being green bugs me. Her fucking just having no coattail when her design very much looks like it needs one really bugs me. I don't really like her particularly that much as a character. I feel like I can never fucking trust her. And as such, I don't know where she is. I don't know where she is at any given moment. She speaks in a lot of metaphor and platitudes, much like why I didn't like Kafka. And I just find her kind of irritating to deal with. But as a unit, she's fantastic. Amazing animations as well, especially the ulti. Oh, I find Sparkle very, very annoying. She is a one-note character. In fact, at one point she even says, "Why so serious?" She is anime girl Joker. Her entire character is Joker, but an anime girl. I don't fucking like her. She is, however, an amazing unit, especially when compared to SP-hungry characters like Dan Heng here, like Dragon Dan, or Dan Feng, whatever you want to call him, Dragon Dan. Especially when compared to him, when paired with him, she is an amazing, like, support unit for certain characters. Like, really, really good. It's the main reason I have her, because as a support for certain characters, like Dan up here, Dragon Dan, she's fucking incredible and a must-have. But, as a character, I find her incredibly annoying, and that kind of, like, trumps the rest of it. Gallagher. I'm pretty neutral towards him. He's okay. The problem with Gallagher is I was so burned out during the big reveal, during that patch. It was my least favorite part of the entire game with Star Rail, because we had the Adventuring Power Hour, in which we'll get to that in a minute because Adventuring comes next. And then we had this pseudo-intellectual fucking Final Fantasy fucking philosophical babble that came from what's her name, Acheron, and I was just so burned out by the constant layers of bullshit where the game was trying to make me feel something and it just didn't work, and I was so closed off that when the reveal with Gallagher came along, that is the kind of thing that I would have loved. Because the funny thing is, I talk about this game with a friend of mine because we both play it, and I actually pointed out several weird things about his design. Like, his design seems to be all over the place. It's almost as if he's like several characters mixed into one. Well, no spoilers, but kinda. You know, he's actually a really good character in how they implement him. And I do like his design. It would be nice to have a character with a proper fucking beard, though. I was told when Gallagher was coming out, oh yeah, we're getting a character with facial hair. Stubble is not fucking facial hair. Stubble is what you're left with when you don't shave properly. When you don't get rid of it properly. Stubble isn't facial hair. It's a bad shave job. But, nah. He's okay. I was so burned out by that patch, and I don't use him. He's okay. You know, it's like, but whatever. I kind of nothing him. I don't think he's boring. He's not remotely boring. He's quite interesting, but the patch kind of ruined him for me. Okay, adventuring. I'm gonna put him in a unit because I do want him, and quite frankly, he's one of the best units in the game. As a defensive unit, if you have fucking adventuring on your team, you don't have to worry. He is such a good fucking unit, you're practically invincible. Also, his design is pretty cool. Not really to my taste, but I do appreciate it. The problem with adventuring is the game expected you to care about a character that we spent no time developing. He came up, and they kind of positioned him as being like a snake. I mean, first of all, he works for the same corporation as Topaz, so like evil capitalists essentially. Like they're just a major corporation that essentially have people as slaves. You know, like in fact, this guy started his life as a slave. And he hates the organization he works with. But they kind of introduced him as being like a very snake character. A typical example of the organization he works for. I forget the name of the organization. Is it the ICP? I think it's the ICP. I can't remember. But he's just kind of like a smarmy snake kind of character. You know you can't trust him. And then we have what I dubbed the Adventuring Power Hour, where the entire plot goes on hold, and you're forced to play as Adventuring for the next hour or so, while they beat you over the head. Feel sorry for him! Feel sorry for him! He's had a tragic backstory! Feel sorry for him! He was a slave! Feel sorry! No, I don't. I had the same response to this guy as I have with documentaries when they put up the sad music and try and force you to feel something. I react very negatively, and my defensives go off and I close off when I feel like I'm being manipulated. When a story tries to make you feel sorry for a character, why they try to make you feel something for a character, and they have not earned it at that point, I grow to hate that character, right? And they've been pretty good with it so far, but Adventuring was such a ball drop. And they succeeded with some people. He's like some people's favourite character because of that Adventuring Power Hour. But I'm not so easily manipulated. And that's what that was. It was manipulation. They tried to force you to feel something from a character that has only ever been a bit of a smarmy dick before then. It's just like, oh, this guy's a manipulative trash bag, but look, he has a tragic backstory. I don't give a fuck. He's a manipulative, whiny trash bag. I don't want anything to do with him. I don't like him as a character. In fact, if he wasn't such a fucking good unit, he'd be fucking down here. Sorry, he'd be here specifically, because none of these other characters have wasted enough of more of my time than he has. But because he is such a good fucking unit to the point where I actually won him, he's up here. He is an amazing unit, but I cannot view him as anything other than that. You notice a theme with Starello in terms of the units? With Zenless, it was more like I just enjoyed them as units, like they're really fun. With these, it's purely mechanical. yeah, with these guys, it's mainly mechanical. I didn't really like her personality. I don't really like his personality. He's super forgettable, and I fucking outright hate him. But as units, they're fucking amazing, and that's why they're there. But yeah. Moving on. Orcheron. She's an amazing unit. I like Orcheron's design. However, at the end of the Aventurine Power Hour, we essentially had a back and forth which could very easily be boiled down to as the philosophies of nihilism versus absurdism. I'm an absurdist myself, and I found that entire segment to be incredibly cringy. It was this Final Fantasy style pseudo philosophy where the writers feel like they're saying something really fucking deep, but they're really not. It's like super basic entry level stuff, the kind of thing you'd find people talking about on Reddit while sniffing their own thoughts and thinking they're super fucking deep, you know? It was literally just nihilism versus absurdism. That was it. And it went on and on and on and on, and it was so fucking boring. And by the end of that, that's when the Gallagher thing was kind of came to light, and I just didn't care at that point. I was done. I was so burned out, and I just wanted it to be over because I hated everything with him and I hated everything with her. However, as a unit, she's one of the best units in the fucking game. I like her design. She's fun to play. Really fucking good animations. I find her character kind of boring. I find her plot kind of boring, and she irritated me during that thing. It just so happens that she's a really, really, really good fucking unit, and it trumps it. I've used her quite a bit at this point. Robin, I enjoy Robin more on YouTube than I do in game. She's okay. She's okay. She's fucking forgettable. She's okay. I don't dislike her. I don't hate her. She has her moments. Yeah. Boot Hill, I fucking adore as a character. I think he's so much fun. Every time Boot Hill comes on the screen, it's a fudging good time. This motherfudger just makes every scene better. And then when he's bumping heads with Dr. Ratio or Argenti, it's just even better. Like, I ship these two hard. These two together, I could watch these two shoot the shit for hours on end. These two are so fucking funny together. They're just pure perfection. I love them. Boot Hill is just pure entertainment all the time. Whenever he shows up, you know you're in for a fudging good time every single time without fudging question. I love him. I love him. He's a single target hunt unit, which means he's not very useful. He is good. It's just the nature of his type that means he's not great, unfortunately, because destruction and the other types kind of just like outclass him every single fucking time. But I do, you know what? Considering Yan Qing is there, I'm bringing him up there. He's going up there because I do think he's fun. He is good at what he does. I love everything about his design and his personality and his voice acting and his quirks. Like, he's a great character. Yeah, I've convinced myself. If Yan Qing's up there and not down there, then he should be up there as well. Firefly. Firefly is without question the fandom's favorite character. She has grown on me, largely due to that fandom, but I can also very much see why a lot of people would find her very, very fucking annoying. The whole, if you'll excuse the pun, the whole damselfly, like, kind of personality is really irritating to a lot of people, and I typically dislike it as well. However, I think she's really endearing. She has this perfect mix of kind of like hapless romantic, just like really soft and ditzy, whilst at the same time being a burning blaze of fury. I love her. She's, I'm interested in her psychology. I'm interested in her as a character, and she is without question one of, if not the best unit in the game at the moment. In fact, I'm bringing her up a little bit more. One of, if not the best unit in the game at this point. She is so fucking good. I use her quite a bit now. In fact, she slowly started to replace my Kafka Swan, team, and I tend to use her along with Raw May, Laucher, and the Dancing Trailblazer. Oh, we don't include that, right? Well, if we're talking about the Dancing Trailblazer, they're up here, right? So that's the major change. But yeah, I use her with that. So Firefly is a really interesting character. I really like her design. She's got some of the best animations in the game. She's got some of the best voice acting in the game. She's one of the best units as a game. In the game, she's a really, really, really good character. I like it quite a bit, and I've gone from being kind of neutral towards her to seeing how good of a unit she is to really warming up to her in the game. Like she's one of my favorites at this point. She's very, very good. Jade is another ICB cold-hearted cunt of a character. She's decent in some modes, but I don't actually like her. I think she's a bit of a prat. However, she is good in certain fights, and her animations are decent, if a bit on the nose in terms of the kink it appeals to. I'm going to put her here. I think that's kind of the best bet. This dude, oh man, we'll talk about a strong fucking impression, dude. Talk about a strong impression. This guy has, it's just, his entire story, I thought we were going to get like a Trickster Kitsune kind of character, and we got a little bit of a tricky, smart character, but we got like this really noble, endearing character that sacrificed a lot in order to save the people he cares about and do the right thing. Amazing character. That whole fucking scene with him and like the guy that captured him, so intense. And he's a really good unit as well. He pairs amazingly with Adventurine. In fact, he was so fucking good, they had to nerf him like several times before the official release, because they don't really, Hayo doesn't really nerf people or buff people post-release because of laws in China, because it kind of like fucks people over, and there's laws against that in China, so they don't do that. So they have to make sure that when the character comes out, it's not gonna fuck everything up, right? Really, really, really good character. I love his design. I love his personality. His voice acting is great here. His animations are great. His him as a unit is really good in certain comps, like with Adventurine. He's a powerhouse with Adventurine, and he's made such a fucking strong impression. I like him a lot. March 8th. It's funny how March 8th gets a separate unit, but the Trailblazer doesn't. That's fun. She's a great unit. She's still March, which means she's still fucking annoying. But she's actually surprisingly a really fucking good unit. Her animations, especially her ulti animation in particular, is kind of repetitive. It's kind of annoying at this point dealing with it. It's actually one of the reasons I don't use her that much. But she is very, very good. In the right comp, March can help that team absolutely fucking decimate. Also, her basic design is just a little bit nicer than like her standard one, in my opinion. I think she's a great unit, but she's still March, so she's still kind of annoying. She is an incredible unit. She is essentially Clara, but blows Clara out the water. Her animations are a lot better as well. She's a really, really, really good fucking unit. However, oh my god, is she irritating. She is a petulant twat the entire time in the game. And even when she kind of warms up and stops being such a twat, she's still kind of irritating. Like, she's such an asshole. I'm struggling to put her between, like, here and here, but it's like, I think the difference is, these are amazing units that I actively use or want. So I want him, the other ones I use, right? These are characters that I hate so much that I don't want. You know, except her, but I just hate her enough. And the only time I ever really use her is with Dragon Dan, who I don't use. So Sparkle's the only exception to that. But yeah, it's the thing with Sparkle is the same thing with Herter. I use both of these characters, but in very niche situations. So they don't quite qualify in the same category as these, which have more universal use. She is incredible. She is such a good fucking character. Ooh, where the fuck do I put her? I'm gonna put her here. I'm gonna put her here because I like him more as a character. Incredible unit. Really fun character. Badass design. The best combat animations in the entire fucking game, bar none. Very much a perfect character. I love her voice acting. I love her characterization. I love her using combat. I love her animations. She's just pure perfection. I like him more of a character. I like him more of a character. This kind of wide. She's like the full package for me. Like Ron May is my equivalent of Jane Doe from the other game, from the other like list. That's kind of why she's here. Similar reason. She's just perfect overall. But no, she's a fantastic character. Oh, here we go. Fireworks again. I swear to God. I hate... It was supposed to have Bonfire Night, but we don't have Bonfire Night anymore. We have Bonfire Months. This will go on up through until January. It'll continue on. We'll have this through New Year's Eve, and we'll still have it for a few days into January. Every fucking day this goes on. Fucking fireworks, man. Hate them. Honestly, I do think they should be made illegal outside of events. I know a lot of people won't like that, but I do think they should be made illegal. Mose is this game's equivalent to Lighter. He is an edgelord, but he knows he's an edgelord. I think he's a lot of fun. I do think he kind of hits that same category as, like, Argenti, Dr. Ratio, and Boot Hill. Were like, they're just kind of silly boys. They're just kind of silly boys, you know. They're fun whenever they show up. They're a bit silly. They're a bit fun. He's actually a pretty fun unit as well. I'd like to see an S-rank version of him. He essentially just he actually similar to Lighter. Actually, I wonder if Lighter's gonna work the same way. But you don't see him on the field too much. He kind of just pops up, does damage, and then pisses off again. So he can't really be targeted quite as well. So he's actually a really interesting character in terms of a unit. But no, I think he's just a fun, silly boy. Kind of like Argenti, Dr. Ratio, Boo Hill. But Boo Hill just does everything better. But yeah. And then finally we got this Rapper character. I'm not going to place Rapper. As a unit, I actually think she's probably going to be very, very good. But as a character, I think I'm going to put her around here. I think she's going to be unfucking believably annoying. So I'm just going to shove her here for now. But I'm going to... Can I take her out the list? No, we'll shove her here for now then. The reason for that is I watched the trailer recently and she's just 90s. She's just meteor 90s personified. Everything from her voice to her characterization to her design is just welcome to the 90s. This is the 90s in terms of anime. This is the 90s in terms of cartoons. Everything about this character is 90s. She might be an amazing unit, but I've got a feeling I'm going to fucking hate her as a character because she just seems really irritating to deal with. So that's what we got. We got characters that I think are overall just perfection. The weakest link here has to be Yanqing. Everything else is fantastic. He really should be down here, but I just love him so much. He goes up there. These are really strong characters that I either find really endearing, really just fun to be around, or they made a strong impression of me and I want to see more of them. Or they're just like very well written. These are mostly these are pretty much all characters in which I don't really like as characters, but they're pretty fucking amazing units. We got characters that I'm reasonably neutral about, but leaning towards liking. It's like I don't really have any strong feelings towards these, but they're more positive than anything. And then we got neutral. We got characters that I don't actively hate, but I don't really care about either. It's like if you removed any from these in the game, I probably wouldn't notice. The only exception to that really being March, because she's a main character, but now we have this version now, so she doesn't really have much of a reason to exist. Anyways, these are characters that just, I absolutely forget they exist completely all the time. It's like if you put me... I'd probably remember most of these characters. I would not remember her. I forget she exists all the fucking time. I don't know what it is about her. I don't even know how she plays. I just forget how she exists. She exists all the time. I think she's basically this dude, but better if I remember correctly. But yeah, like, some of these are really good units. Like, Fu is an incredible unit. She's one of the best units in the game. I just think she's really boring as a character. She has her uses, also boring. She was incredible for a while, but then was replaced by another character. I can't remember which one, actually, but I think that character came pretty much right after. I think it was Rowan May, actually. I think it was Rowan May that pretty much does her job but better. I like her look. She's got, like, this gothic look that's quite nice. But, Hook has her moments, but most of the time I just find her irritating. I don't hate her, but yeah. She had a really good emotional moment. So the main split for the boring bit is kind of here, in which they just have, like, even characters I used all the time at one point, like Peeler, they don't really have an impression. I forget that she exists half the time. They don't really leave much of an impression. Blade, I don't actively hate. I just think his edginess is just so one note and so tiresome. He's not a character, he's a meme. Hook is like the classic annoying little kid character. She is the reason why I hate those things. These don't quite do that, which is why I like them, but I could understand why people would fucking hate them, because they're essentially whingy little bitches all the fucking time. So I can understand why people don't like them, but I find them endearing. She's just one of those cocky little I-know-it-all bastards, and I can't stand her. She has her moments, though, mainly when she shuts the fuck up. She has a really emotional moment, but she's also forgettable post that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my list at this point with Star Rail. I wonder how different it'll be from the last time, because I've done, like, this is, I think, my third Star Rail tier list I've done at this point. And obviously, like I've said, I don't judge these in terms of how they are as a unit, because to me there's much more to characters in a game like this than, oh look, this is really good in terms of stats. Because if that was the case, then their design doesn't matter, their animations doesn't matter, their personality doesn't matter, their voice acting doesn't matter, they're just stats. And these are characters that you want to roll on. Why the fuck would I care about just stats? If I cared about just stats, I'd be playing fucking that ship-based space game MMO. I forget the name of it now. I'd be playing that fucking commerce space game if I only cared about numbers. I care about characterization, because I will get attached to something based on how much I feel attached and interested in the lore and the characters. That's what makes me think. And I'll tell you, one thing Zenless has done really, really well is the characters. Mainly because of the trust events. The trust events have really kind of, like, got me attached to the characters more than anything else. I love Star Rail. It is the better game at the moment just because it's had more time to cook. But I have a feeling I will prefer Zenless in time, just because the trust quests in Zenless are more... They help you fall in love with the characters more. They give you more depth with the characters. The Star Rail does have an equivalent of that, but some of them are really fucking boring, and some of them are really, really good. Whereas the trust quests in Zenless don't kind of fuck you around that much. They are just kind of like little character writing things, and they don't take as long to do overall. They take as long to do because you can only do them bit by bit every day, but they don't take as much time. So if you do one of these companion quests and you don't like the quest, it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth over the character. But with Zenless, the only character in which I've done the trust quests in which I've disliked the character more is Nicole. Outside of Nicole, I end up liking the characters more than I did when I started the trust quests, or I fucking end up loving them way more. Not just liking them a bit more. Like Piper, I liked a little bit more after the trust quest, but some of them I fucking love so much more after them. So I think at this point, Zenless's characters are making a much stronger impact on me. I think the only ones here that really reached that peak close to Zenless to me is Dan, Boot Hill, the General, and maybe Firefly. I think they're the only ones that really hit that peak for me in terms of characterization. Yang Qing to a lesser extent. But yeah, I think Zenless is doing a much better job in terms of characterization than Star Rail is. But also, because of the nature of Zenless, Zenless is much more of a Persona-esque game. It's much more of a intermediate kind of like, you know, relationships game, whereas Star Rail is much more of a grandiose space opera. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more higher stakes. You know, there's huge, like, global, you know, freaking god levels of shit going on. Whereas with Zenless, it's much more down to earth. So because it's much more down to earth, the characters kind of like stand out a lot more. So that's kind of like, that's more of so where it is. But I love both games. I'm still playing both games, and I've just spoken about both games for a good amount of time. So if you've watched this whole thing, thank you so much, very much. Let me know what your favorite characters are down below. What you think I've got wrong in this. You know, where I'm a fucking moron, where I'm a genius, whatever. And I will see you whenever I upload a new fucking video. I don't know.